Hi, I'm Frank. This is Chaos Frogs. In this video, I will explain to you how to magnetize your Warhammer bases. It's a quick, easy, and cheap method, and you won't glue your fingers together that much. So really quick, this is what I'm doing. I take a magnet, I put it on the base, then I take some super glue, put a rim of super glue around the magnet, like this, and then I sprinkle some baking soda on top of the super glue, so it instantly cures. Then I shake the baking soda off, and then it's done. And then you have to clap it a little bit on a flat surface, and that's it. Done. And if you want to see the whole thing, everything I have to tell you about this, all the ins and outs, watch on now. This is the heaviest miniature in my army. It has a base made of slate and it's pretty huge, so I will try to magnetize this base. And I use my new method I have developed recently. So here are my magnets. Just take a stack of them off. And then I have this little device I've made. So this is an old brush. There's some green stuff on the top here. And I put a magnet in the correct polarization I want to use for every one of my bases on it. And then I put some green stuff on top of it. And that way I can ensure that all my magnets are in the same polarization. So if I take one of the magnets off, I put it on here. And then I take a Sharpie or another pen, a whiteboard marker or something that can write on top of that magnet, so I can now see which side is which on the magnet, because there's a cross on the side that goes onto the base, so to the side of the base. So for all of these, I can take this off now. So for all of these, they all have the same polarization. Is it that important? I don't know, not that much, but it avoids two miniatures that have opposite polarizations to stick to each other. So they can still a little bit stick to each other when the magnet is sideways, but they won't snap to each other like this. Can still be problems when the magnet is too far to the side. On this one, for example, I put the magnet very far to the side. And that way, it can happen when they are standing next to each other that they are attracted a little bit to each other. And when two of them have the magnet really far to the side, like this, so they can stick on top of each other. Yeah, I have two miniatures here that have the magnets very far to the side. This one here and this one here. So when they are standing next to each other and you are moving them around, it can happen that they are doing this. So yeah, that is annoying. So I'll have to put a piece of rock or something here. I have to remember that when I build the bases. So this cannot happen while I'm playing. So if I move one of them and then I do this. So it's better to put the magnets a little bit further to the inside. That might cause that the magnets are weakening each other because magnetic fields repel each other a little bit. But if they are like this, it's much harder for them to stick to each other. You can see I have to really try put them on top of each other, and because this one has the magnet very far to the side. But if I have two of them that have the magnets pretty far set in, then it's really hard to overlap them that much that they attract each other. You can see it's really not really happening at all here. If I really try, then put them like there, then they're attracted a little bit, but they're not really snapping together like the others. So it's a good idea to put the magnets further in, even if that makes the magnets a little bit weaker. So that is that. So I can snap them back on here. And when I'm magnetizing really heavy models, I want to add like at least 5 or 6 magnets, I think. So on these big ones, I added 5, and that seems to be fine. And this one is not that much heavier, so and the base is smaller as well. So I might add 6 to this base. So let's just do this. It is much easier to add magnets when the miniature is not on the base. So I fully recommend you put that on a base that has no miniature on it yet. I didn't have my magnets yet when I started building the army, and I didn't want to wait for 7 days till the magnets arrive to build the army, so I used the time and built it anyway. But it's much easier if you only have the base. I will show you how to build it just with the base, and then I will show you how to build it when there's already a miniature on top of it. So let's do that. So the method is really easy. So I kick the magnet away. So that's where this helpful tool comes in. So you peel a magnet, so you have that stack of magnets, you peel a magnet off, set this away a little bit so it doesn't attract your magnet. Then with that stick, you polarize it the right way around, and then you take a Sharpie, make a cross or a line or anything, you can paint a little heart on it, whatever. Then let it dry for a few seconds, then you take it off, put it on, and now you can put it on the base first. Don't put the glue on it, because if you put it the wrong way around, then it's glued the wrong way around and might stick to the other side. So my polarization goes like this, the side with the cross downwards. And then I have the magnet here now. I will put it a little bit set to the side, as I said. I prefer to put it on flat parts of the base where there's no writing on it. But you could scratch the writing off a little bit or just put it there anyway, and it will probably stick. And then you take the super glue and then you gently put a ring of super glue around it and try to not touch the top of the magnet. I will explain in a little bit why. Because now super glue is still wet and can float around. If you tilt the base, super glue will run to the side. But now you take some baking soda, which is really inexpensive. And this, if you sprinkle this on super glue, if you didn't know, it is curing instantly. There's a really high surface area on this, and that will dry the soap. I guess that's what dries the super glue. I have no idea about super glue chemistry, but I guess that is it. Surface area increases a lot, and therefore it evaporates faster, I guess. And it's getting really hot as well. If you have that on your skin, it's hotter than your skin should touch, but it's not instantly scarring you or anything. And I don't think it's demagnetizing the magnet. It's not hot enough to do that. So you sprinkle it on top of it. And that means the super glue is instantly hardened, like this. And then that baking soda, you can use that again in the future. Then you knock it down a little bit. And then I always have that black surface here. And I always smack it a few times on this. So no baking soda is released now. So that should be fine. Everything is gone. You could add a second layer of super glue around that, but that takes more super glue. Might make it a little bit more secure and avoids baking soda to be falling down from here, but I think it is fine. And yeah, then it's done. You can see it's a little bit warm to the touch still, but it's almost cooled down already. So it's not getting as hot as you might think. So this one is perfectly solid now. And then the polarization is this way around. So what is really helpful, if you want, so on this basis, I would probably put 2 or 3 magnets, depending on the miniature. For example, on my Lictus here, I put 3 magnets, which is also the symbol of Nurgle, big Nurgle fan, so that's really a good plus.
For grandfather Nurgle.
Yeah. As you can see, some baking soda is still getting off there, so I might shake them off a little bit. But if you want to avoid that, you could also just put a little bit more super glue after you've put all the magnets there. Because what I want to show you now, if you take the second magnet and it accidentally sticks on this magnet, it will glue on top of this magnet and you will not be able to release it without damaging it properly. So do the same thing, put a cross here. And then there's a little helpful thing you can do. Check what polarization this one has. Then set the stack of magnets where you want the second one to be. And then drop it on there. And you can pull it around wherever you want. So I want to have 3 on there. So I'll put the next one here. Take your super glue. Put a ring around it. And don't put it on top there. So sprinkle it on. Slap it off. Then do this. Pretty much nothing coming off there. So second one done. If you get some super glue on top here, it is possible. If you get some super glue on top here, it's possible that there baking soda on top, and then your base might wobble when you stick it down. Because I have used 5mm by 2mm magnets here, and for the Games Workshop bases, that is the ideal size. If you take 3mm, it is a little bit higher, and it can be not flush when you set it down. So if you put super glue on top here, I will do that on purpose now. If it's secure, more secure because the super glue is sealing the magnet in, but do this on top, and then you can have a base that's wobbling. This one doesn't, but on 25 or 32mm it sometimes happened. So for these, if you want, you could even put some super glue on top and make it even more secure. But I don't think this is really necessary on these. And you need more super glue and more baking soda, so it's a little bit more material. It's not that expensive. The most expensive thing is the magnets, but if anyone has an idea to magnetize bases without magnets, be my guest, tell me. Stick a chewing gum underneath. I don't know. So yeah, do the same thing here. You don't even need to check the polarization anymore on the second one if you do this method. You can put the stack here, put it there, snap it down, then you have it secure. You can even have it as a little handle. Then put your glue around it. And then you do this again. I mean, you can check off the baking soda when you have all three of them done. Then it's even more than one step, but I've just done that to show you how this works. Slap, slap, slap. Nothing's getting out. Fine. Base done. Next base. If you set it down and you put it on a surface that you want to have in the future, then you can have these little nasty fog things here so that the super glue might still gas off a little bit. Usually when you put baking soda in, it should be fully cured, but if you forget a little bit, you can have these ugly things here. You don't want that to have that on a surface. You want to keep like a nice wooden table or something like that. So keep that in mind. Better set it down this way around. Or if you have a miniature, put the miniature down like this. Let it harden for a few hours, and then you can set it down. And yeah, you have a fully magnetized base. And as you can see, they are really, really secure. So I can even wobble this. They are even upside down. There's von der Rhein sleepers everywhere, but they are not getting off. And I really have to try hard to get them off. As you can see, now 2 of them snapped off. So yeah, if you are in a plane and have that in a plane, then it could happen that 1 or 2 of them fly off, but I don't think with plastic miniatures that will be much of an issue. If you have metal miniatures, however, you might want to put an extra magnet on there, or even 2. It's more expensive, more materials, more magnets, but yeah. So now I do with the Hive Tyrant. This is a heavier miniature because there's some actual stone on the base, some slate. So I will see if this one, that method is more difficult here as well because you cannot really do that when there's a stack of big rocks on there. So we have to get our little magnetization helper here. Then make a little cross on this. Then put the magnet down. Super glue rim around it. Oh. Super glue around it. Baking soda. Shake it off. Next magnet. Same method. As you can see, it's pretty quick. I tried some other methods, and this one is by far the friendliest for your fingers, because on the other one I glued my fingers down so often you wouldn't imagine. It was so terrible. So yeah, the stack of magnets even helps as far up as it is now. Yeah, to the next one. Shake it off. And then the next one. As you can see in real time here, it's a pretty quick method. If you're doing hundreds of miniatures, takes you a few hours. On small ones, I usually put 1 magnet down. The riskiest is when you put the one down like this, and you haven't put a stack of magnets underneath, and it snaps on the other one, and then the glue is already on the rim, but I take some risks sometimes, boys. And then the next one, little cross on there. And then I stick it down, and then I put some super glue. And push it a little bit, and there you see I failed. So I can still take it off, but yeah, that was a clutch to take that off again. So I will draw something on this one again. So you could see how it's possible to fail here as well. And then you might get super glue on your fingers as well. If you have the super glue, now you can see the super glue ran over there, and it's not thick enough around the magnet. So I want a really big rim around the magnet. And that way the super glue is gripping the magnet on its full rim. So giggity. So that way the super glue is gripping the magnet all around it. And you can see on these, I'd show you some close-up photos as well, that it will be all over the top here. So shake this off. And now there's super glue running all over here. So I'll put some baking soda on this as well, so I don't accidentally touch this. And get a vacuum cleaner afterwards and clean this up. Or a piece of wet cloth does the trick as well. So now you can see there's 4 magnets. I do a little test. So I have my magnetic surface here. It's already pretty good, actually. Yeah. Let's take all these von Ryan's Libras off there. And it's to take them off. It's also a good idea not to pull them off like this, but to tilt them that way so the magnet detaches, and then it's much easier to take them off. As you can see, I have not clapped them enough, so some baking soda is still getting on my plate here. But yeah, I have to whack them on a flat surface again. All right, there you go. So take them to the side. Much easier to remove them. As you can see, Hive Tyrant still staying on there. I'm going to do the upside down test. So, upside down test, you might call this the Stranger Things test. Oh my god, if in Stranger Things they would have fought against Tyranids, it wouldn't have been a long series, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's obviously it falls off if I do this, because the magnets don't stick in that direction, so it slides off like this. But that is why this has a rim on the side, so it can't slide off. Ha! Physics, boys and girls, physics. So yeah, I think that's good enough. I leave it at 4. So why am I doing it like this? As you saw, it's much easier to do. You put a magnet down. You can just do, while I'm talking to you, I have to search for a base. So why am I doing it like this? So if the base is still not on the model, good idea, you take the magnet off. Then this thing is really helpful. You don't really need it. If you don't care about the polarization side, then you can slap the magnet down, however. But if you have this, you can also do something like this. You just stick a magnet to a base and then use that as a guide. So, for example, this one downwards, like this. So for this method, I need a base that I've already done, and then I just put the magnet on top here. So the next base would be the same way around. So I have to draw on this, and this one goes in the base. So it's basically the same, basically. But you don't need this little stick. But I found that this little stick is really helpful, because you can also do something like this with it when you don't have any spare magnets. You can also put the magnet down and then hold it secure with the stick as well. But yeah, just do it with one base and then on a second one, use it. But if you use all of the bases, this stick I cannot use as a base, so I will still have that after I've done all these miniatures and built some more in 2 years or whatever, and I will still have this stick secure with my brushes and my other tools in here, and then I will just use it again. If I do it on a base, I might use that base, and then I have to re-engineer it from one of the existing miniatures. That works as well, but waste one magnet, a little bit green stuff, one old brush handle. I need to open. Okay. Okay. So I want to show you why we are using this method. So usually, if you have your base, then this is the magnet on the bottom of the base. Magnet, bottom of the base. So if you glue it down only with a layer of glue underneath it, then it glues to this. And this is where the magnet will be fixed. Problem is most of these magnets have a really thin nickel coating around it. So the magnet is basically in the middle, and this is the actual magnet, and the nickel layer here is to protect it from rust. So it can happen that this glue layer is pulling your nickel layer here off, and then your magnet falls off, which has happened to me before, and you have a useless piece of nickel that is magnetic, but only attaches to a magnet, but it's not a magnet itself. So yeah, and then your magnet is rusting as well. You have to throw it out. So what the method I'm using is magnet here, base on the ground, and then I put some super glue around the whole magnet. This is a round magnet, so it's around the whole rim of the magnet, and then there's a little mound like this around the magnet of super glue, and this layer underneath it, because the super glue creeps underneath the magnet. And then this is all hardened by baking soda. And that is much securer. So with most miniatures, you cannot put a layer on top of it. So for 25mm bases, if you take the 2mm thick magnets, you cannot do this method. But for some of the bigger bases like these, you could even put a layer of super glue on top there and then put some baking soda on top of it. So that would even protect it even more. So you could do it like this. And then there's the super glue like this. And the super glue on the bottom. Like this. And then even a layer on top. And then this hardens through with baking soda. So you have the magnet all encased in super glue and baking soda compound. So this would even be better, but on most bases it doesn't work because then your miniature is wobbling. Because the magnet sticks out. As you can see, I only used one here, and this is fair enough. If you get some super glue on here, you can just scratch it off with your finger if it's wobbling. Easy method. So how the magnets work. There's a thin layer of protective coating of nickel around it, and if that is peeled off, your magnet falls off. So this prevents that, and what also can prevent it is having two magnets on bigger miniatures. So on what also helps if you have two magnets on bigger miniatures, because if one of them is destroyed and falls off, you still have the other one. And you don't want your painted miniatures to fall off and be destroyed. So on smaller ones, like, who cares about a home account, honestly? But yeah, there's only one here, so it's fine. Yeah, that was it. That's how you magnetize your bases. Tune in for my next video where I show you how I magnetized my 3000 points of Tyranids and how I struggled with another method I had tried before and I glued my fingers together. Nasty stuff. See you in a bit.